And we're up and rolling. I got that stupid SD card keeps showing up on the big camera on the GoPro. Let some people. Did you find it?
Yeah, I got it.
Cool beans.
It's just starting to load right now.
Yeah, I'll take a sec.
It's weird watching myself with a delay.
It is. All right. Another beautiful day in paradise. About 5 inches, 6 inches of snow, maybe.
Made it fun.
They said 20 inches of snow where I live, and we got about 4 or 5, which was disappointing. If you're going to get snow, get a ton of it. I don't like that camera. I got to get rid of the, it says SD card. I can figure out how to get rid of that. I'm not sure how to do it. I can't see anything. Hey, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well today. We are back with another episode of This Week at SecureIt, and I've got Stephen, the Viking Walrus, with me. And today we're going to do a little Q&A. We got a lot of questions that have come in over the last few weeks, and we're going to talk a little bit about gun safes, fire ratings, a little bit about security maybe. I'm planning on going, I'm hoping next week to be shooting out in the warehouse. I'm going to pull a safe apart and really kind of go through it in detail, what's actually inside one of those, and do a little comparative analysis. But first, I want to just mention Alec Baldwin again. He's back in the news. So he's been served a lawsuit. And it's interesting. He'll be found guilty, in my opinion. There's no chance. I don't think there's a chance he won't be. And it's not about pulling the trigger. I mean, yes, he pulled the trigger. If the scene had called for him to put the gun to his head and pull the trigger, do you think he would have checked it? But the guilty in a civil lawsuit, he'll be found guilty or be found liable. It's not about guilt. It's about liability. He was a producer of the show, and he was one of the main producers. It wasn't like a figurehead only. He had money invested in the show. They went cheap. They went to hire prop master, hire an armorer, and the people they talked to turned them down, stating that you don't have a big enough budget for what you're trying to do to maintain safety, because they ended up hiring, I don't remember the girl's name. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I don't follow that.
It was her first time as an armorer, and she had limited experience, but she was also the prop master and the armorer. And recommendations from experience were that he should have hired a cast or a crew of 4 to 6 people to manage everything. So she was in way over her head. And how live ammo got on that set, who knows? Even into the production. I guess the guys are going out shooting. After shoots or in the afternoon, they were going out in the desert going plinking. But the fact that she even let that happen just seems crazy to me. But he was a producer. It was his call to spend or not spend money, and they went cheap. They turned down the actual experienced prop masters and armorers in Hollywood and hired someone with no experience because it was cheap. And I think because of that reason, he will be held liable, and it's going to be a huge payout. So, and I think he deserves it. I mean, the guy's at the end of the day, he's turning into a spineless little worm, but I'm sure we all have our opinions. Anyhow, I just wanted to make a comment about that. I just saw it back in the news again. And at this point now, I hope they don't mention him ever again in the news. Maybe let us know when the settlement comes, but the best thing you can do if you don't like someone is ignore them. So I hope that this thing just gets ignored. So, Stephen, we've got question and answers today, I think, was the general. And always, guys, if you guys have questions, purpose of the show is to let people know what's going on in the company, what we're doing, but also open it up. We're trying to be as accessible as we can. And, we want to be a company that our customers are involved with it. We spend the time, take the time to get people involved, because so many companies put up barriers to get to customers. In fact, I called customer service of a company yesterday. I'm looking at doing some custom paint on a car I'm working on, and I was on hold for probably 20 minutes or so. I was working away, had my speakerphone on. I get it. They're busy. They should staff more maybe. But once he picked up the phone, though, He absolutely spent as much time with me as I needed, and I appreciated that because I had a lot of questions, a lot of specifics. What I'm looking to do, I got a lot of vintage cars. I like to rebuild cars. I'm looking at doing Plasti Dip, which is it's spray. It's that plastic. You can peel it off, but I'm going to Plasti Dip my 68 Corvette, I think, this spring, and then I'm building the 66 Falcon, and I may do the same thing. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to try it with the Corvette and just see what it looks like. It doesn't cost a whole lot. And you can kind of do custom colors and things and kind of see what we can turn that thing into. So, Stephen, what do we got for questions today?
I thought you were going to give them to me when we got in here.
We are.
Actually, I had one from a customer that I answered, and I stole the question from you because I was going to give you the email. But he was saying that he liked our Model 40, and he was looking to just use it as a standalone, and he wanted to know if there was a way to put the keypad up higher so he's not crouching down on the floor. And you actually can flip the door of a Model 40, and then you'll have to flip the keypad and the handle too, but it's pretty quick and easy. The only disadvantage is the door opens from the other direction, but some people, they want it from the other direction, and it's only takes a few minutes to do, so you can flip it over.
So that is a complete, you're basically during assembly just putting the door on upside down, correct?
Yeah.
The whole door frame.
Then you just take off the back panel, and it's 4 screws to flip the keypad. The handle, it's 1 screw. It's a little more coordination because you have to hold the lock rods in place, but it's still totally doable. And so I stole that guy. So for you guys out there, if you email us at support@secureittactical.com and address it to Tom, a lot of times I'll steal it because if he's out working on the car doing something else, a lot of times I have the access to the answers a lot quicker than him because I've made up some saved replies for some of the common ones. So. But
all right, so that's I do see a lot of photographs from people who who've got the safes. So they've done that. They've turned them around, and we got to talk to Ron, our wizard of product development, about other ways we can make those things. The door is reversible. Ron's on vacation down in Florida right now with his family, so. Well,
it's funny because originally we actually designed it so you could flip the doors when we were working on the Agile, and then we kind of went away from it. But since it was built in the original design, there's ways to make it work. There's some it doesn't work 100%. Like with the Agile 52, the keypad will be down at the bottom if you flip it, but there's little workarounds you can do. Yeah,
it's so I just got emailed over the list. It's really funny. We put together a we do read all of our comments on YouTube. I go in on weekends, so I'll sit down, I go through them, I answer as many as I can. I think it's really important to keep the open level of dialogue. What we're trying to do is change the way America thinks about firearm storage, make people safer, better prepared. We think there's a better way. We've been building military armories since 2002, and we're just bringing that mindset and that type of storage to the civilian market. So because what we're doing is different and we're really trying to get people to think differently, it's really important to have the channels of communication open. So I spent a lot of time reading comments, and we took some notes down, jotted down a few questions, and then Stephen thought I was bringing them in, and he thought I thought he was bringing them in, and that's the beauty of a live program is we don't know what's going to happen. So I have an old safe that I spent a lot of money on. Any suggestions for what I can do with it so my guns don't get damaged? And that's I've spoken on that a lot. There's an article in The Truth About Guns that I read years ago, and their claim was like 70% of damage and wear to firearms occurs going in and out of safes. I think the article's probably still there. I don't know where they got the data from, but I believe it. I mean, it's we've all used those safes. If you got a lot of guns, and let's face it, digging around in those things are banging into each other. So what do you do if you're flipping over to lighter weight modular safes? You're going to decentralize your home. What can you do with a big old safe? Our first retail product we call it the conversion kit or the retrofit kits. And they were kits that you could install in your safe to convert your safe to a cradle grid system. As the Fastbox and the Agile product line took off, then we introduced Answer line, and that started growing. The conversion kits have we don't talk about them much anymore. We still sell quite a few of them. And so we are going to be making a big push reintroduce those products into our marketing efforts, because it's a fantastic setup to it takes a traditional, just a mess of a safe and converts it over to our system. Now, maybe next week we can do that. I've got a Liberty safe out in the warehouse, and maybe next week I was going to do it this week. I ran some technical difficulties getting the camera system out there working, but we'll install a system. We'll actually do a conversion live next week.
And one thing I did is we have a program that we use for our gun walls, and I built the small plastic panels that we use in our conversion kits. So if you guys aren't sure what you need, send me in the interior dimensions of your safe. Make sure you take into account like how far the door goes in. A quick, easy way to do that is measure to the back of the safe to the right to outside the door, then measure your thickness of the door and subtract it. So that way you know what your interior depth is. Send that to us, and we can work out the numbers and figure out what you need for a custom conversion kit, or the existing ones off the shelf.
Wow, that's do it. That's a nice level of. I didn't know we were even doing that anymore.
I just put it together last week.
Okay. I know we did it a long time ago. So, hey, I got a note in here from Theodore. Yay, we can hear Steven this week. So last week we ran into an audio problem, and we've got I use a Roland VR4 video audio board, and it's a pretty decent setup here. And in a previous life I was a musician, so I have a home studio. I'm kind of versed in this stuff, but I couldn't figure out for the life of me why the mics were coming in. All the levels were correct, but the output just wasn't there. So we ended up just factory resetting everything, and we're back to working. Love to see a conversion kit. You took most of the drywall. Our conversion kit leaves the drywall in. It mounts right to the drywall. You can take the drywall out and skin the safe. They're kind of messy inside, some of them. They use like a rubberized coating to keep the safes from rusting from the inside out, which corrosion in gun safes is something we're going to talk about in detail on an upcoming episode. I've got a lot of data I'm going to pull together. We actually met with a professor at a college to go over the science of what's going on in a gun safe. And we've got that footage, so we're going to put that together for an upcoming show. There's a reference to Ukraine wishing they had the system for their citizens. I'll tell you what. I mean, the purpose of this show is not really to get political, but wow, our current administration has no balls. Holy cow! What they're I don't know shit about military strategy, but it sure seems to me if you parked a good chunk of Air Force over there in Europe and started flying some planes over Ukraine, you might slow it down, because Russia does not have a Air Force that can come anywhere near to matching ours. But it'll be interesting to see how far they're going to let this guy go. It's everybody's afraid, and you know what? Everybody was afraid of Hitler. Oh, we'll just give him that, and look what happened. And now I don't know same thing's going to happen. I don't know, but I wish we had somebody in Washington that had some balls. That's for sure. Alrighty, so let's jump back to we got sidetracked there. Question: I hear you mention decentralized storage a lot in your videos. Any suggestions for new gun owners? Really simple is, if you've got a firearm in your home, it should be locked, and secure a firearm in a location that makes sense, and use common sense with that. Master bedroom, master bath are the least secure rooms in your home. If your house is robbed, they will hit master bathroom, master bedroom first. They're looking for prescription drugs, then valuables, things they can sell easily. Typically, a thief will hit a home office or den, and they usually leave the house. They're usually in and out of the house in well under 10 minutes. When you're looking at a firearm for home defense, at night, I'd keep it close by. I've got, lockbox next to your bed is where I'd locate it. During the day, I mean, the ultimate safety is to carry. It's just a carry. A lot of people get home. If you carry, they get home, the first thing they do is take off the firearm because they feel safe in their home. But I would have a small lockbox or a fast box if you've got a shotgun in the kitchen. Kitchen pantry would be the number 2 spot. People spend a lot of time in their kitchen. Kitchens are extremely secure. Thieves ignore kitchens. If you've got several firearms, the next place I would look is front hall closet. Most homes, your front door, there's a closet, close proximity to the front door for people to hang coats in when people are visiting. Thieves typically ignore closets like this. There's no valuables. They're not looking to steal coats. A small fast access, a fast box, or an agile. You've got guns secured in an area that nobody's going to find them. In the event you go to your front door, you're not going to open it. Somebody decides they want to kick it in. You're armed in seconds and can take a defensive posture. After that, it's really, you got to ask yourself, where do you spend a lot of time in your home? You want to secure a firearm? You want a firearm close by. So I guess that would be my my recommendation on that. We're going to be doing a lot more on the principles of decentralized storage over the next several months. We got several videos. There's several projects we're working on. They're going to bring this just a little more focus on it. What else is going on, Stephen?
Not a whole lot. Just the weather, and I don't really have anything going on this weekend. So unfortunately, my things to chat about aren't great right now.
What about land? Didn't you guys buy land? Or
one of my friends did buy some land for doing some of our Viking camp outs. So they're already planning on building some stuff there and putting some permanent structures. It's just a little bit south of your land, I believe.
That's right. We've got. That's right. Yeah, you told me that. We'll have to do a battle royale or something, right?
Well, we only got 8 acres as opposed to yours. So, but there's a nice creek on it, so it should be a lot of fun.
There you go. Other things that are coming around questions-wise that I still see a lot of times, and a lot of the questions I see getting asked are people who don't know about our past. They don't know where we came from. And I see people, bashing the concept of a lightweight safe. They want big, heavy steel, or hitting us on points that we're making because they don't realize, we didn't just come into this market and say, hey, let's make a lightweight safe because it's different. I got involved in firearm storage in 2001, which I'm going to detail that we're going to detail that in a story about SecureIt because it's a pretty interesting set of circumstances. I didn't grow up wanting to build armories. I was running a business selling computer supplies and data storage products. But we got involved with, saw a need and started investigating it. And we became a reseller for a Canadian company because there were no U.S. companies, and just started learning more and more. We got to about 2007, 2008, and U.S. Army Special Forces had a contract out for an arms room assessment. They wanted to find a company that could go out, tour all their armories, meet with the armorers, just look at workflow, look at storage, security, and report to them why their armories were failing inspections and why they were performing so poorly. We were a 3-person company. We were up against guys like Harris, L3, General Dynamics, these big contractors. And we were just these tiny little guys. And we walked in, and when you've got nothing to lose, you can kind of get a little crazy sometimes. We walked in, and I had Gary Myrick with me, and he was my sales guy, and he was a firecracker salesman, and he just looked like a special forces guy. He's a big, tough looking guy. We walked in. I just said, guys, my name's Tom Kubinick with SecureIt. I'm the leading authority on small arms storage. And we started talking, and they never questioned it because if there is no authority, you can claim it. So we just said we were. And started talking about what we could do and about learning more about the contract. We put together a bid for it and won the contract. Spent the next about 18 months flying all over the country, visiting every SOCOM, or at that time it was USAFIC, U.S. Army Special Forces Command, armory. And we'd tour the armory, a lot of photographs, look at what was happening. Then we'd spend some time watching what they did. Then we'd sit and speak with interview, talk with the armorers. This is access that nobody gets. A civilian, you just don't have this access, but we were given this over this period of time. And it was during that period of time that we became the leading authorities on small arms storage. And part of the contract was not to make a solution. It was to give them a report as to what was going on and then offer recommendations. And it was about halfway through that contract, we started developing the SecureIt tactical weapon storage platform, which later became Cradle Grid. And everything we looked at was a function of problems were a function of complexity or rigid or lack of flexibility. There was old safes were designed for M16s. They were or racks, I should say, and they were flexible. You couldn't adapt them to anything else. So the military was transitioning from M16s to M4s, and nothing fit. There were a couple of companies that were coming into the marketplace, but they were making a different bracket for every single gun. So you had the universal weapon rack had 71 different components to hold all the guns. The guys out of Canada that we originally were working with, we actually moved away from them. They had 270 different brackets to store all the different guns. Every gun had a unique bracket to store it. And we saw that as a real problem because people, I mean, even with civilians, you buy stuff, like the military, they would have an armory full of guns. Everything fit fine when it was brand new. Over the course of a couple of weeks, or months, years, things changed. Weapons would be removed. They'd be fielding new weapon systems, and sometimes whole units would swap armories. And what happens is the guns change, but nobody ever bothers to change all the brackets. It's not easy to buy things in the military. You just can't go out and buy a handful of M4 brackets. You have to make do with what you have.
Well, they didn't label those either.
No.
So you didn't know what it was.
No, it's crazy. It was so flash forward a couple of years after these systems were installed, and the armories looked like birds' nests. It was just an absolute mess. So we looked at that and really went back to simplicity. And the SecureIt tactical weapon storage platform was one moving part, which we now call our cradle. And it holds every gun from a M4 and MP5 on up to M2s and shoulder launch systems, Mark 19s, all with one piece. So with the system, once our system was installed, the armor could walk in with a gun and adjust on the fly and properly store the gun. It solved a lot of problems. We also did a lot with ergonomics, with layout, with looking at workflow and how armors work to make things more efficient. And when we started looking at civilian gun storage, and that was 2013 is when we started looking at it. It's funny that it hadn't occurred to us earlier. We all put up with the crap of safes. And then all of a sudden one day we say, we ought to just bring this system to the public. We actually had a lot of SEALs. We did a big show in Virginia Beach every year, ADS show. And they had a lot of guys, a lot of SOCOM guys, a lot of SEALs were there. And they would always come to us, hey, can you get me a cabinet from a house? Which we really weren't doing, but we were cutting these guys deals to just, we wanted to help them out. And we thought it was kind of cool. So we were selling cabinets to these guys, onesie twosies, for their houses. And we really started looking at, we've got to get into the consumer market. And as we really started looking at safes, the interior of a safe is horrible. It is rigid. It is not flexible. There's nothing adjustable about it other than you can move the whole shelf. A 36 gun safe holds maybe 12 guns, and it's just crap. So we just started taking on the safe industry, saying there's a better way. So people, if they don't know our history and they just see me bashing on a safe, they'll blast me back like, what the hell do you know? Why you pick, why are you doing this? I love my big heavy Liberty safe, whatever it is. But it's not based just on I don't like safes. It's based on 20 years of working with the military, designing systems that effectively hold guns and are efficient to use, meaning you're issuing guns, returning guns. And let's face it, when you're home, going to the range, you don't want to be digging through a safe full of guns, putting stuff all over the floor. With our system, you open the door, one arm, one gun, you close it, lock it. It's efficient, clean, and it works.
Well, we played with it for a short time too early on, where we had a line where it was kind of like a traditional safe, but it had our stuff in it. And just, I don't think any of us really ever liked it. I think right there is when we realized that, this isn't a good system. These things, they get damaged in shipping because they're so heavy. The stuff inside that makes them heavy isn't good. They're so deep that, it just isn't functional. And that's one of the reasons that we have the two-door design on our Answer 12. So you can have it nice and wide, not worry about it tipping over if it's thin.
That's true. It is a
plus it looks great. Like I love that product. That's my favorite.
It does look. We got a couple of questions coming in talking about corrosion. Rust-Oleum inside a safe will fix it. It will. If you're looking, they actually Rust-Oleum makes, if you're going to gut your safe and go right to bare steel, they actually make a rust. It's not rust inhibitor. There's a name for it specifically. Some of the safes that we've taken apart have almost like a putty tar to them, but you can gut a safe and then throw just plywood in the back and paint it black and put our system to it. There's a lot of ways you can do it. Berto's on board. How you doing, man? Hope your day's going well. Patrick Stewart was in a movie called Safe House in 1998 where he had guns hidden everywhere in his house. I'm not sure.
I don't know that one, and I'm a big fan of him. I like his movies.
There was the one with Jodie Foster where they're in the safe.
That was Panic Room.
Panic Room, yeah. Is that where the guy gets his hand smashed in the door and stuff?
That was one of the few movies I got bored with and I didn't finish it. So I only got the first third of it done.
That's really funny.
I like a bird's nest would have been an upgrade to the armories I saw in the Navy. So.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what. The Navy presents very special challenges for gun storage. We've done a lot of work. We've done. I'm not sure we've done all of. We've done most of the SEAL team rooms, but we've done the Nimitz. We've done there's a ship that's at tender out of Guam. We did a lot of work on that. I don't know why they had so many guns on it, but we've done quite a few ships, and it's a real challenge because the spaces are tight, things don't work well. We did the Austell, the troop transport ships, those huge catamarans. We built all of those with, I think that was General Dynamics.
I think that's right.
Yeah, they were building a ship, like one ship every 6 months to a year or so. I remember that went on for years, but we keep going to the Navy and they keep coming to us about designing systems for ships. And we've spent some time on it, but at the end of the day, every space they want to put guns, because space is at such a premium, is an odd shape. And nothing is square. There's just not a square spot because they're trying to find secure places wherever they can stick them. And we always spend time looking at it and go back to them saying, look, just Navy shipyard welders just do custom solutions. We'd love to have them use our system. They just won't give us 36 inches of square. So it's really tough. But the Nimitz was a good project. It's a carrier, and we've got quite a few racks on that one. There's some photos online. There used to be, if you Googled Nimitz Armory of our system.
Well, that's cool.
The armor was actually in the photo was a woman, and I don't know who it was, but it's pretty interesting. So other things that we're covering today, we're going to talk a little bit about fire ratings and gun safes. I'll be out in the shop. I'm hoping next week. I get those tech issues, and it comes up. We get asked a lot, what's your fire rating? And I'd love just to say 6 or it's B443 or so. We don't even do a fire rating because fire ratings and gun safes, for the most part, are nonsense. If you've got a double-walled safe filled with concrete or concrete composite, we made the True Safe, which is still sold through Safe and Vault, and then American Security has their double-walled safes. There is some fire protection there. But any of your safes that have carpeting and drywall, it's nonsense. It's 100% nonsense, and we are going to cook off. We're going to do the gun safe barbecue this spring. Getting that put together out on the ranch. I've got to build out an area to do it. But we're going to construct rooms in a home, and we're going to cook off safes. We're going to video the whole thing, and we'll put temp probes in them. We'll have timers going, and we're going to prove our point, or we're going to admit that we're wrong. I think we're going to prove our point because we actually, prior to the Answer and the Agile, we actually, when we first looked at retail, we looked at safes and actually traditional safes. We didn't know anything better. So we started looking at fire ratings, and we did our own tests. And a fire rating test, and they all do the same basic test, is a safe goes into an oven, probes go in the safe, and then they close the doors up. They bring the temperature up to 1200 or 14, whatever the rating says, 1200 degrees, we'll say, and they just wait. And the temp probes start getting warmer and warmer and warmer. And once they hit 350, boom, that's the time. If it went 45 minutes, it's a 45-minute fire rating. 350 and above is when wood starts to burn, when paper burns, when things start to really deteriorate because of heat. The problem with the whole safe fire rating is it's a static test. The air's not moving. In a fire, and talk to firefighters, air inside a home during a fire can be moving in excess of 60 miles an hour. It's a whipping torrent. And a great analogy would be if you put your hand in a 500-degree oven. Let's say you're making pizzas, 450 degrees. You can put your hand in the oven and just hold it there for a minute. It's the air's hot, but it's not burning you. And you can probably hold it in there for a while before it starts getting so hot you got to pull out. But then put your hand behind a jet engine where the air is moving 60 miles an hour at 500 degrees. It's going to have the skin burned off your bones in seconds. And that's what's happening in a fire in your home, is the air is whipping. It is a convective force. So these ratings are they're bullshit, because that's not how a fire is. If you look at baking in a convection oven, your bake times go down dramatically because the air is moving. Now, in a convection oven, the air is moving really slow. In a fire, it's whipping around. So we're going to take a couple of well-known gun safes and their fire ratings, and we're going to build a room that we're going to try to resemble a house. It's tough because I'm out in the land. I don't want to make too big of a mess. And
or have the fire department show up.
Well, I'm out far enough; they're not going to care. But what we'll do is build the rooms and actually build a fire and cook a safe. And I think what you're going to find is that a gun safe is going to be toasted probably in 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes is my guess.
It might take a little bit longer.
From the point the fire is raging.
Oh.
It might take 10 minutes for the fire, 10, 15 for the fire to get going. But once the temperature of that fire is busting up to 1,000 degrees or so, I think the safes cook off really fast. Because when you talk to firefighters, gun safes don't survive fires. Guns don't survive. And you'll hear that time and time again. It's extremely rare. On the internet, the manufacturers always have that story of, oh, my safe worked. Google California wildfires, gun safes. Just Google that, and you'll see that during those fires 4 years ago, there's no safes that survive. So we are going to cook those off. And
well, I think a good telltale sign is, when we were doing, messing around with the True Safe and cooking it, and when it got back from being cooked, like our gray paint was completely that tan color where it just got, the lock was melted off, the paint was cooked off. And then you see some of the competitors that will show their safe that made it through, and you can still see their name on it. I'm like, I don't think that safe got that hot.
No, that's a great point. I remember that. Yeah, when we actually ovened off a safe, the whole finish came. The whole safe was like a brown.
The lock melted off.
Yeah, and you could take your finger and like just wipe down it and pull all the finish off and everything, and you see this. That's true. Well, you know what, boys and girls, it's going to be fun. We're going to cook a safe. We're also going to do some testing on marketed ammunition storage cabinets, and do safety tests on those. I think that's going to be fun. I've been planning that one for over a year. And
the hardest part will be getting the ammo. I'm going to cry when it goes because, ammo's just.
I've got a boatload of old AK. I've got some 9mm, and it's starting to show some corrosion.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know how old it's, probably 10 years old, 15 years old. And we're going to load it up. And I'm hoping the ammo's cheap by then. It's
I do have a bunch of old shotgun shells I'll contribute.
There you go. It's the issue we're going to deal with is the mess. Again, I don't want to trash the property, but we will get it done. A couple more questions. I got Joel, got my answer 12. It's amazing. There were a few issues, but customer service guys are great. You know what? Our customer service team is unfrickin' believable. They just, I don't know where it comes from, but they just do magic stuff, man. They just, they care. And everybody in this company is tied to the company, and that we have a very robust profit sharing plan, and we all work together to build this company. So, customer service is that's the front lines for us. We're most of our business is e-com, and that's where we interact with customers the most. And these guys do an incredible job. they also have the freedom to do what it takes. We don't run this thing with a spreadsheet. We're saying, well, gee, we're going to lose money if we, no. What's the problem? Solve the problem. Boom, move on. We have so few. I mean, the biggest issues we probably have is probably damage from shipping. But
and we do have the freedom to take care of it, because I remember in the early days of retail, when there was just a few of us in customer service, I think I was running in the door to you or Frank, who used to be here, and asking you guys questions, and you guys just kept looking at me. They're like, just fix it, the customer, just take care of it.
Yep.
So it was kind of weird, because I hadn't been in a company that like let you do your job and take care of things yourself and trusted you to do that.
Having the freedom and the ability to let customer service do their job. So many companies give your customer service staff a very narrow window. If it goes over $50, you need approval. Well, look, why put a dollar amount on it? If the customer has a problem, solve the problem. If you solve every problem quickly, don't worry about the money, just solve the problem. You end up with lunatic, crazy customers who are very loyal and they love your brand. And we don't have a lot of problems. We do take care of them. Other things we can hit with going on with SecureIt. We've got we're getting our production schedule put together for Agents of Change. That's going to be airing in July on Sportsman's Channel, and the show is going to be featuring and talking about the most innovative products, companies, and people in the firearms and outdoor sports industry. And we've got a production crew put together. We've got several people from SecureIt on the project, and it's coming together. I was worried about actually finding innovative companies because there's so many dinosaurs in this industry, but we've actually got some really neat stuff lined up. So I'm really excited about getting that going. We're going to be launching a new website in April. Supposed to be in February, but things got pushed back because that's what happens sometimes. Some tech issues, making a lot of changes in that regard. There's going to be a lot of things happening with SecureIt over the next 3 to 6 months. We're building our marketing department. We're actually hiring quite a few people right now to really build out a marketing department that is just an engine that just cranks out information and establishes those lines of communication between us and our customers. Another thing that I'm looking at doing, I'll ask you guys, I'll tell you what, post comments on this one. Either I'm nuts or I'm not, but I'm really thinking about getting a cell phone and publishing the phone number and just saying, guys, I'm available. If somebody wants to call me, send me a text. If I'm not in a meeting, right now I'm live on a show, but if I'm available, and I'm available a lot, anybody can call me. Got a question, got a concern. And I always talk about trying to be America's most accessible CEO and our company being the most accessible company in the industry. So that's something I am looking at considering doing. And I'm on the fence on that one. It kind of scares the hell out of me a little bit, but I think we're going to do it. I
don't know. It's tough. I left early yesterday because I didn't feel good. And as soon as I pulled in, I got a call from one customer, and I forget when I give out my number. So then 7 o'clock, I got another call from a customer telling me he gave my number to another customer, but I was able to sort out their issues and, took care of it over at night. So sometimes it's a little tough because they're like, hey, can you look this up for me? I'm like, buddy, I'm at home on my couch. I don't have my computer with me. So
I'm getting some notes sending to me right now. Chris Penabianco, Chris P, or Crispy, as we will call him, is our new chief marketing officer. He just fired me off a note that says, do it. So, all right, I will, Chris, I'll stop on the way home from work today and get that done. We've been talking about it for too long. And I think Chris is going to be on the show next week. I think next week or the week after. And we'll get things going. But Chris is a firecracker, and we're anticipating, expecting, and great things, and it's already happening. So it's exciting. It's a fun time to be here. We are hiring a lot of people right now. We got a lot of new faces in the company, and we'll be posting more job listings online. And the company runs remote, so we hire people all over the country. So if you're interested in a SecureIt position, there will be a lot of things happening over the next year. I mean, our plan is to just continue to grow and ultimately becoming America's largest firearm storage company and change the way people think. So this whole concept of big, heavy safes are secure. Not next week, but in a couple of weeks, I'm going to crack the saw out. And a lot of people haven't seen that. There's a video out there, but I can cut I can cut any brand safe in half, completely in half in about a minute, 20 seconds with it's a 1980s, probably 88, 89 skill saw that I bought when I got married. My wife and I were doing some fixer-up work on our very first, it was a condo. And I just slap a new carbide blade in it. And these are blades, they're about $20, $25. They're used in the concrete industry for cutting drywall or cutting rebar up to 1/2 inch thick. Just a basic circular saw blade. And it goes through a safe like butter. It goes through like you're cutting plywood. And I don't care if you got a plate door on your safe. I'm cutting right through it. Gun safes have you always feature, they always talk about the door and the bolts. A thief ignores that and just cuts the side of the safe open. We will be demonstrating that in an upcoming episode. We're also going to be doing a feature on that in the Agents of Change. Part of that, we are going to cut a safe open and throw it out on TV. It's never been done before, but I do think that Walt, who's the head of production, is I think he's got that slated to do it. But hey, guys, we're running along here. Does anybody have any questions? Just ask away. I applaud your tenacity, but your time is not infinite. Clarify that. I mean, what you're saying is shit or get off the pot. is that what's happening here?
I don't know. You seem to get a lot done. Like for they can't see all the stuff you do here, but working here, you'll see Tom working in his office doing stuff, doing the show, then running out working on his cars. Over the weekend working on the land, and I get to sneak out there once in a while, help him out too. But you definitely have a lot of energy. So I don't know if that statement pertains to you.
Well, it's I'll tell you what, guys. I don't watch TV. I mean, we bought a TV last year. Last year we made a den in our house. I actually bought a TV, but I've not owned a TV for 20 years. I don't like watching TV. I don't like sitting there looking at it. I like to be working on things. I'm a blue collar guy. I've worked in every kind of factory you can imagine making stuff. And I like doing that. I'm here doing stuff, and then I'm back in the warehouse. I'm building a 66 Falcon right now. I probably get an hour a day on the car. There's some body work I've got to do now. It's getting a full, if you're a car guy, I'm doing a Stroker 289. It's going to be 331 cubic inches, about 350 horsepower, 5-speed TKO transmission, Ford 9-inch rear end. I'm going to build a 4-link custom rear suspension. Front will be tubular A-arms, Borgson steering, vintage air conditioning will be in the car. And it should be just a really fun little screamer that's going to be kind of a summer drive or a daily drive. I like driving old cars. I like driving quirky cars. It is a square, boxy car. So we might, if I do the plastic dip paint on it, we might do it a charcoal gray or gunmetal, and just put Fastbox on the side of it, on the rear quarter panels. And then when you open the trunk up, have a cradle grid system. So it's all decked out with guns.
I'm almost ready to offer you my car to practice on, just because, your antique cars are so nice that, I'd rather, if that plastic dip doesn't work out well, I'd rather it be tested on my Volkswagen.
I tell you what, the plastic dip, the beauty of that is you spray it on, you can peel it off. Yeah. So material cost is probably about $300 to do a vehicle, and there's a learning curve on it. I'm actually gonna look at it, and I'm gonna do that with my 68 Vet. I might do it with the Falcon, and then I might talk to Charlie about my son about looking at that as a business. There's nobody in this part of the country that's dipping cars.
Yeah,
and it's really popular in out west, down in Florida, Texas. There's a lot of shops. There's a lot of people doing it. It protects the paint. You can customize your car. If you don't like it, you just peel it off. So we may look at that for a business idea for him.
That'd be something to be good at too.
He's not sure of his future, and I'm not a go to college guy. I didn't go to college. I was a musician. I just didn't like that kind of education, and so I'm not sure what he's going to do yet. But that's something we might look at. So, guys, we are moving along here. Does anybody? We'll put on the big camera here. That's the GoPro camera. We've got some higher end cameras, but this is the GoPro all encompassing wide angle camera.
Theodore's worried about trolls giving you calls.
Oh, you know what?
Some Baba Booey calls or something.
That's I find it it doesn't bother me. You know, it's I feel sorry for guys like that. They just have to lash out when people don't have a real answer. And you see it when you're debating or discussing politics with somebody. Once they get angry, you've won. Because I'm going to mostly attach to my opinions. They're just my opinions. But I find myself getting in conversations with people, and I just ask questions. And do you know this or do you believe this? And they say, "Well, I know it." Say, "Well, then, what's your proof? What makes you know it?" And more people get pissed at me. And once they do, I know I've won. Neat. My son's name is Charlie too. There you go. So it's a great name. It was my grandfather's name, and it's Charlie's name. All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping things up. Does anybody have any last questions, thoughts, concerns about any topic whatsoever?
Theodore was wondering if Agents of Change will be on a streaming service.
It's going to broadcast on that network, and my commitment is to the network to air it. Once it airs, I own the content. So once the shows air, we own it. And yes, they will be. They'll be available on YouTube. We're actually going to cut the segments up into small, bite-sized pieces for various channels. But yeah, we own the content. So I don't know what the time frame is from when it airs to when I've got to look at the contract. There is a time frame because they're showing. We're doing 13 episodes. It's going to repeat then fourth quarter. But once it airs, the first time I believe we have access. But I will end up owning the content, and the stuff will be out there. And then ultimately, what we're going to be doing is reaching out to people. If the show is successful and popular, we're going to do another season. We're probably just going to reach out to customers, reach out to everyone saying, if you know of an innovative product, an innovative company, let us know. We're not doing that now, but Agents of Change will have a website to it, a bunch of stuff associated with it, and we may actually end up with a form that people can fill out. We start looking for innovative products, innovative things.
Actually, I have a question because it was one thing I was thinking of. There's innovation where something's brand new technology that you haven't seen before. But one of the things, like a company that I'm a big fan of, and I know you are too, but like somebody like Henry, where they've, it's not a new design, but they're kind of doing new stuff with it. And, the quality is up there where, my Henry rifle is one of my favorite things to shoot, and it's just how smooth it is. So what about something like that? Is that something that you look at too, or more kind of the new technology?
Oh, you're talking about using Henry as no, it's not about new technology. Yeah, I mean, there is some new tech, but innovation doesn't have to be technology. Innovation is doing things differently. It's evolving. It's doing things. It's looking at new ways to do things. Anybody around here around SecureIt knows that I like lever action guns. That's other than some long range precision rifles I've picked up, about all I buy is lever action guns.
Well, I think some things you get the technology up there so much.
Yeah.
It takes the fun out of it. Like, I'm big into motorcycles, and right now I'm seeing a trend where people are getting away from the really fast bikes because the technology, it's just so much power, so much speed. You really don't enjoy it. Where, I just got a Triumph recently. It's not fast, but it is a load of fun to drive.
Yeah, I think the electric cars are going to drive that hard too. And I've talked about this. Electric cars are coming faster than you think. I'm reading the tea leaves. I'm fascinated by it. I'm a vintage car guy, and I think that many of us are driving our last piston internal combustion cars. I think this change happens quick, but it's interesting. I think my son was telling me, who's a little gearhead, that Toyota is going to be launching. I'm not sure which of their models. It's a fully electric car that it's called manual mode. You push a button and it's got a clutch and it's got a shifter. And when you drive it, the computer runs that car like you're running a 4-speed. If they get it right, you know what? Everybody's gonna be like, I'm with you. But you know what? If demand is there, they'll figure it out. And I've driven a Tesla. I don't own a Tesla. I'm not looking to buy a Tesla. But I'll tell you what, I did not want to like the car, and it was freaking amazing. It was a great driving experience.
Having a manual and electric like that makes me think there was a movie out there where they made an electric car, but to add some excitement, it made the noise of a V8.
Mhm.
And the whole movie was them getting it right. And I'm like, it just seems like kind of it's a fix. Like, just embrace the technology or don't. I like motorcycles. I like changing the gears. But when I think about it, if there's a motorcycle that just handles and performs well that's electric, I'll make the compromise. It's one kind of fun for another.
That's interesting. I see Berto. They'll have to take the keys to my Corvette from my cold dead hands. Well, I tell you what, I don't know what year your vet is. I drive a 68 that I restored. It's a big block 427 car. It's a beast. And I'm going to have that car for a long time because it's extremely comfortable car to drive. I've upgraded the suspension, fairly modern, and it really is a pleasure to drive. But I'll tell you what, my engine's starting to consume some oil, and I'll drive probably put 5,000 a year, 5,000-6,000 a year. But I think in 2 years I'll be able to replace that drivetrain with an electric drivetrain, and I may do that.
It won't sound as good.
It will not. I'll tell you what. I had side pipes with spiral baffles in that car. Sounded unbelievable. It was just too loud. I ended up going back to a more not stock exhaust just to quiet it down. But that thing was just snarled. But it was so loud. I just kind of felt a little self-conscious driving through quiet little towns around here. Oh, it's interesting. A great comment. We're way off topic, but I think that's the purpose of the show. Very skeptical about the amount of materials that need to be mined for that many batteries. Okay, I was reading a really interesting article. I was flying. I don't remember what I was reading it in. But you're going to have a battery ecosystem. The one thing about lithium batteries is when you recycle them, you get back almost 100% of the lithium and the other metals, precious metals are in the batteries. So the recycling of batteries is almost 100%. There's very little waste. So what the article is talking about is there will become a battery ecosystem. They're mining lithium. They're doing these things to get these materials. Once there's enough batteries in circulation, they're not going to mine the stuff anymore. You're going to have a whole industry of battery in your car, batteries being recycled, and you're going to be buying. It's all recycled batteries, just buying them, and the whole system becomes its own ecosystem. It was a pretty in-depth article. I don't know. It might have been a magazine somebody left in the seat of a plane, but I was just reading it because I've always thinking the same thing. They're electric cars right now cost more in greenhouse gas than they actually save. But I think that ends. And I also think that technology, we're at the very beginning of this. And look at when the first PCs came out, they were, a 10 megabyte hard drive in the early 80s, a 286 was an AT computer. 10 meg hard drive was huge. And now I've got, 50 gig on a little chip. This laptop's got terabytes of information in it. You're going to see the same thing with electric cars. There already is a company in Michigan that offers a battery kit for Teslas that dramatically increases the range. I'm going to say in next 10 years or so, you'll have 1,000-mile range cars that charge quickly. So I think that's the rate determining factor will be the power grid. The government, who should be focused on building power, getting a power grid in place, is ignoring it. They keep talking about all this green bullshit and trying to mandate this and mandate that. What they should be doing is working with the municipalities to build grid. Just build the power grid, because it's like in the early days of cable modems, whenever you would come home from work, plug in their computer at home, and the internet would die. Everybody's going to come home from work, plug in their cars, and boom, the power's going to go out because they can't handle it. So they've got to figure that one out. But
one thing they're doing too is solar panels are getting way more efficient now, where back in the day, when they first were coming out, the efficiency was terrible. And now, it's actually worth it to put it on your roofs now. And it's just getting better and better.
It is. They've got to figure out the roof solar systems. I'm not sold on, only because a friend of mine who's a fire chief said the problem with those, if there's a fire in the home, we will not go on the roof because you can't turn a solar panel off. If it's daytime, if it's sun's out, you cannot turn off a solar panel. And if the house is on fire, normally they're up on the roof venting a hole. There's a process they go by to vent it and to get that fire out. They're not going to do it.
They just need to do attachments for the fire trucks that just
has
a big spike that comes down and just impales your house.
There you go. Whole shipping container ship filled with batteries went up in flames. Yeah, there are some issues with those, aren't they?
The car one. I didn't see the battery one.
No, I've seen things like that, and they'll figure it out. I'm confident. Again, I'm a gearhead. I'm a vintage car guy. It's quite possible that electric motors, the aftermarket for vintage cars, that market will be huge. And you may see vintage cars actually increasing in popularity and demand because the barrier to entry to drive like an old MG or drive an old Jag, you need to either have a ton of money or be a good mechanic because the drivetrains, those old motors require constant maintenance. If you take a little MG, yank the motor and transmission out and put in a simple electric unit with a battery, and then if the engines are where the disc brakes are on the front wheels, now you got braking and power in one unit, you're eliminating brakes, it becomes extremely simple. And you may find that the market for vintage cars, because everyday people who aren't mechanics may say, wow, I could drive this cool car. I also think car prices will come down. When you look at the amount of cost for the technology of internal combustion and transmissions, that all goes away. But again, we are so far in the weeds, but that's the beauty of a live show. We are innovation, baby. So we're going to be wrapping things up. We've been going an hour, and I've got several things to wind up today. I got to go home, snow blow the driveway, and I'm going to head out to the ranch this weekend and get the tractor out and start moving some snow around so we can get access to it. Again, you got nothing going on this weekend?
Is that a hint that you want some help at the range?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can actually get to the property.
I got snowshoes.
Yeah,
I can get to the property, and I know how to drive a tractor. Or I could just let you borrow my snowshoes.
No, I got to see what the. I might go skiing. I don't know yet. Hard to say. All right, guys. Hey, we'll flip over to the big camera. It's been real. Another week of This Week at Secure. A lot of neat things happening. Upcoming episodes. We're going to be out going through the interior of safes. We've got a big episode I'm working on for corrosion, and that may be a separate video we're actually going to produce. We're going to be cooking off safes this summer. We're going to be looking at ammunition storage from a safety concern coming up, and a lot of other neat things happening. So, guys, everybody have a great weekend, and be safe. Get to the range, shoot your guns, and we'll be back next Friday live.
Oh, and I guess to end it, make sure that, if you have any problem with your locks, check your batteries first. Brand new Energizer. No lithium batteries.
Good distraction from World War III. Well, let's. Yeah, I know. I haven't turned on the TV. I don't watch news much anymore. I get so frustrated. Even Fox News sucks. I'm sorry, but it's not news. It's just commentary all day long. And then I can watch Shepard Smith. In 15 minutes, he tells you the news. Then they cut the commercials. We're back with the panel. And it's just, I don't want to listen to a bunch of people whine and bitch. But that's me. All right, guys. We are all over the place today, but we get to do that because it's our show. We'll talk to you guys next week. Anybody has any questions, concerns, contact SecureIt support. I will be publishing my goddamn phone number here for America's most accessible CEO. I'm going to get that done today, and everybody in the company is pushing me, so got to get her done. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.